Hey guys, tonight we dim the lights, perhaps even light a little lavender candle, and drift far, far away from the noisy streets and the relentless hum of daily life. We're going to journey to a place where the air is thin, the silence is profound, and the shadows stretch for miles. A place you think you know, but where secrets lurk deeper than any crater. Imagine, if you will, floating weightless, the earth a vibrant marble swirling in the blackness below you, and directly ahead, the pockmarked face of our celestial neighbor, the moon, looms large. But tonight, you're not just admiring its ethereal glow from afar. Oh no, tonight you're getting a VIP pass, a quiet whisper in your ear, taking you behind the velvet rope of the greatest cosmic cover-up of all time, NASA's secret moon base. What they're not telling you. And let's be real, you probably won't survive this journey with your worldview intact. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Now, dim the lights and let's ease into tonight's journey together. You're drifting closer now, the familiar face of Luna filling your view, its silent expanse drawing you in. You've seen countless pictures, of course, that serene, unchanging orb hanging in our night sky, a perfect, unassuming neighbor. But as you approach, not from the usual angles, not along the well-trodden paths of public knowledge, a subtle shift occurs. A faint glint here, a strange linearity there, shadows that seem a little too sharp, a little too precise for mere natural formations. It's like finding a perfectly symmetrical pebble on a wild beach. Intriguing, perhaps just a coincidence. But then, a whisper. What if it's not? What if these are markers, quiet signposts in a language you're only just beginning to decipher, guiding you towards something profoundly hidden? Historians still argue whether the ancients truly understood the moon's profound influence beyond its tidal pull. But what if they saw more than just a lamp in the sky? What if they too felt the whispers of something else? The official story, the one etched into textbooks and documentaries, paints a picture of exploration, of brave astronauts taking one small step. And for a long time, you accepted it. Why wouldn't you? It's a compelling narrative. The space race, the Cold War, the triumph of human ingenuity against the vast indifference of the cosmos. A truly mainstream historical fact, the Apollo 11 landing in 1969 etched Neil Armstrong's words into our collective consciousness. But tonight, you're peeling back the layers of that meticulously crafted narrative. You're not just seeing the flag planted in the regolith. You're starting to see the roots it's attached to, plunging deep into the lunar soil, connecting to something far more complex, far more secretive. The initial whispers weren't loud, not at all. They were the kind of whispers you dismiss as background noise, the fringe theories circulating on dusty corners of the internet. Tales of unexplained lights, anomalous structures and grainy photographs, the almost too perfect silence from official channels when questioned about certain unexplained events during lunar missions. You might have chuckled at the notion of, say, an ancient alien civilization leaving behind a giant luminous "Welcome to the Moon" sign, complete with blinking arrows pointing to a hidden base, because obviously that's just silly. But what if the truth, while less flamboyant, is far more unsettling precisely because it's grounded in human ambition, human secrecy, and human technological prowess that we were never meant to know about? Think about it. The sheer audacity of the Apollo program, landing humans on the moon, bringing them back safely, and then stopping? Just like that? After only a handful of missions? It's like climbing Mount Everest, planting a flag, taking a selfie, and then deciding, nah, we've seen enough mountains. Doesn't that strike you as just a little bit odd? Especially for a nation deeply entrenched in a technological arms race, always pushing the boundaries. The official line was cost, shifting priorities, budget cuts. Convenient, isn't it? But as you hover here, the moon's surface spread out below you like a detailed, forbidden map. You start to connect the dots. The whispers weren't just random static. They were the initial, almost imperceptible frequencies of a hidden broadcast, inviting you to tune in to a reality far stranger than fiction. You begin to sense the subtle tremors beneath the surface, not geological, but technological. The kind of tremors a massive subterranean construction project might create. Maybe they just ran out of Tang, you know, that space-age orange drink. Can't build a moon base without proper hydration, obviously. It's a critical oversight in most conspiracy theories. As you draw closer, the subtle anomalies become a little less subtle. You see what looks like faint, almost transparent lines stretching across vast plains, as if something has been dragged or perhaps built with immense precision over distances that define natural formation. You realize that what you're looking at isn't just a desolate rock. It's a canvas upon which a secret story has been meticulously, painstakingly painted, one brushstroke at a time. The whispers of Celine's embrace are no longer just whispers. They are beginning to coalesce into a distinct, unsettling hum, a low frequency you can almost feel vibrating in your chest. You're on the precipice of understanding, of truly grasping the sheer scale of the deception. The moon, our silent guardian, our familiar companion, is holding a secret deeper than its deepest craters, a secret that begins to unravel the very fabric of everything you thought you knew about space exploration. You're not just looking at the moon anymore. You're seeing through it, or rather, into it, into the meticulously constructed narrative that has shaped our understanding of space. The shadows of Apollo's legacy stretch long, obscuring more than they reveal. You see the familiar footage, Buzz Aldrin saluting the flag, Neil Armstrong's triumphant stride, Michael Collins orbiting silently above. It's the stuff of legends, isn't it? A mainstream historical fact. The Apollo program represented a monumental leap for humankind. But as you hover closer, your perspective shifts, and the clean lines of that story begin to blur. What if the true, hidden agenda behind those seemingly innocent Apollo missions wasn't just about proving technological superiority or beating the Soviets? What if it was about reconnaissance, about planting the first tiny seeds for something far grander, far more clandestine? Imagine the sheer audacity, the incredible foresight required to plan such a long-term secret. You might think, that's crazy. No one could keep a secret like that for so long. And you'd have a point. It's harder than trying to keep your cat off the kitchen counter when you're not looking. But consider the era, the Cold War, a time of unprecedented secrecy, paranoia, and the allocation of vast, almost unimaginable resources to projects deemed vital for national security. It was a time when the very act of reaching the moon was a political statement, a show of force, masking a far more pragmatic and perhaps unsettling objective. Historians still argue whether the perceived space race was truly about exploration or fundamentally about military dominance. Perhaps it was both, with one aspect acting as a very convincing smokescreen for the other. As you mentally rewind the tape, you start to notice the quirky or fringe tidbits that, at the time, seemed like minor anomalies. The persistent rumors of a second phase of Apollo, quietly funded and executed, focusing on geological surveys of specific, unusually flat or cavernous regions of the moon. The almost too perfect alignment of certain landing sites, not for scientific diversity, but for proximity to something else. And then there are the whispered accounts from ex-NASA personnel, dismissed as disgruntled fantasists, who spoke of unusually long debriefings, of data being redacted for national security, and of a sudden, almost jarring halt to the lunar missions just when the technology was at its peak. It's like finding a perfectly preserved dinosaur egg, but instead of celebrating, you just quietly put it back in the ground and walk away. Doesn't quite add up, does it? You feel a subtle pull, a gravitational nudge, guiding you not to the well-known landing sites, but to the shadows. To the places where the sunlight barely reaches, where the temperature plummets, and where, conveniently, anything clandestine would be far harder to detect from Earth. You begin to understand that Apollo wasn't the end of lunar exploration. It was merely the meticulously staged opening act. The public saw the curtain rise, watched the spectacular first scene, and then, believing the show was over, went home. But the real performance, the one with the truly mind-bending plot twists, was happening backstage, in the dark. Light joke. Maybe the astronauts were just really bad at keeping secrets, so NASA decided it was safer to just stop sending them. Look, Frank, we told you not to mention the giant alien spaceport. Now we have to pretend we're broke. The true agenda, you realize, was never about simply visiting the moon. It was about scouting it, identifying strategic locations, assessing geological stability, searching for resources, specifically water ice, buried deep in permanently shadowed craters, a crucial ingredient for a sustained presence. And not just water, but perhaps other, more exotic elements, minerals invaluable back on Earth, or, more chillingly, for something else entirely. The Apollo missions were in essence a high-stakes, incredibly expensive scouting expedition, cloaked in the patriotic fervor of scientific discovery. You feel a growing sense of unease, a chill that has nothing to do with the vacuum of space. The silence around you is no longer peaceful. It's the heavy, pregnant silence of a secret kept for decades, building pressure, waiting for the moment to rupture. The shadows of Apollo's legacy are not just casting doubt on the past, they are shaping a present and a future you were never meant to perceive. You are witnessing the initial stages of a long-term plan, conceived in the Cold War's crucible, nurtured in the black budget programs, and slowly, silently brought to fruition far beyond the prying eyes of telescopes or public inquiry. This isn't just a conspiracy theory, it's the dawning realization of a truth so immense, so audacious, that it makes the simple act of landing on the moon seem like child's play. And as you prepare to delve deeper, you feel the distinct sensation of moving from the outer periphery of the moon's well-lit face into its much darker, hidden depths. The shadowy architects, you realize, weren't just a handful of individuals. Their influence, an unseen web, pulls you deeper into the cosmic deception. Having peeled back the layers of who orchestrated this lunar secret, your journey takes you deeper into the labyrinthine structures of power that orchestrated this grand deception. You're now contemplating not just what was done, but who did it. It wasn't a lone wolf operation, nor was it a spontaneous decision. This was a multi-generational, highly coordinated endeavor, woven into the very fabric of national security. You instinctively look towards Earth, imagining the darkened rooms, the hushed conversations, the meticulously drafted blueprints under lock and key. The immediate culprit that springs to mind is, of course, NASA. A mainstream historical fact is that NASA was established in 1958, born from the urgent need to coordinate America's space efforts. But what if NASA, the public face, was simply the genial host of a much more exclusive, much more secretive party? You start to discern the outlines of other, less visible entities. Intelligence agencies, defense contractors, perhaps even certain branches of the military with budgets so black they make the vacuum of space look like a brightly lit living room. It's like finding out your favorite band has been lip-syncing for years, and the real talent is some shadowy collective behind the scenes. Slightly disappointing, but infinitely more intriguing, right? Historians still argue whether the concept of a deep state is a paranoid delusion or a genuine feature of modern governance. But as you consider the scale of this lunar undertaking, the decades of unwavering commitment, the absolute silence from an immense network of individuals, the idea of a deeply entrenched, highly integrated consortium begins to feel less like fiction and more like an uncomfortable truth. It's a truth built on compartmentalization, on a need-to-know basis so strict that even those working on crucial components might never grasp the full scope of the project. Think of the quirky or fringe tidbits that often surface around massive government projects. The missing billions that vanish into accounting black holes, attributed to classified operations. The sudden, unexplained career changes of high-level officials who seemed on the verge of revealing too much. And then there are the whispers of private corporations, seemingly unrelated to space exploration, receiving colossal, untraceable contracts for research and development. These aren't just whispers anymore. They're becoming distinct echoes in the silent void around you, painting a picture of a vast, interconnected web. Perhaps even a particular aerospace company, famed for its innovative, almost futuristic designs, was on the ground floor, quietly developing lunar-specific drilling equipment or atmospheric processors under the guise of something entirely different. Light joke, maybe the real reason they stopped sending humans to the moon was that the catering budget for the secret base was just astronomically high. You know, tiny dehydrated shrimp cocktails aren't cheap when you're importing them from Earth. The architects, you realize, weren't just scientists and engineers. They were master strategists, grand planners, individuals who understood the long game. They anticipated political shifts, technological advancements, and the fickle nature of public attention. They knew that if a secret of this magnitude were to endure, it couldn't rely on a single government administration or even a single nation. It had to transcend borders, perhaps even ideological divides, uniting powerful entities in a shared clandestine objective. A global conspiracy? You might have scoffed at the idea before, but now, floating amidst the moon's secrets, the pieces begin to slop together with chilling precision. You start to visualize the organizational charts, not the public ones with neat boxes and clear lines of authority, but the hidden ones. Layers upon layers, like a cosmic onion, each layer more secretive than the last. At the very center, a core group of individuals, perhaps fewer than a dozen, who held the entire truth, orchestrating the public facade while the true work proceeded in absolute secrecy.
These were the ones who made the difficult decisions, the ones who weighed the monumental cost against the even more monumental potential reward. The sensation of being an unseen observer intensifies. You feel like you're peeking through a crack in the universe's most secure vault, glimpsing the gears of a hidden mechanism. The silent machines and secret souls were but extensions of this meticulous planning. The vast financial resources, the cutting-edge technology, the human capital, all funneled into a project so audacious, so world-altering, that its very existence had to remain the universe's best-kept secret. As you delve further into the moon's mysteries, you understand that the architects of the unseen weren't just building a base. They were building a new future, one that excluded the vast majority of humanity from its grand design. And the implications of that realization sends a shiver down your spine, even in the vacuum of space, pulling you towards the hidden depths below.
The feeling of being pulled downwards intensifies as you are guided from the architects of this grand deception into the moon's hidden depths. You're moving beyond the surface whispers and into the hushed reality of underground layers, lunar dust. This isn't about some flimsy tent pitched on the regolith. This is about deep, fortified structures excavated from the very bedrock of our silent satellite, pulsating with a hidden life. A mainstream historical fact, the moon's surface is constantly bombarded by micrometeoroids and solar radiation, making it an incredibly harsh environment for any long-term human presence. This fact, far from being a deterrent, likely served as the ultimate justification for going underground. Protection, secrecy, and thermal stability. 3 birds, one very large, very expensive lunar rock. You're beginning to understand that every challenge the moon presented was simply another problem for these hidden architects to solve. Another reason to dig deeper, to build more securely. As you lower yourself, you visualize the processes involved. Not just simple shovels and picks, but advanced boring machines, perhaps derived from Cold War tunneling technology, adapted for the lunar environment. Machines that could pulverize rock, melt it into glass-like tunnels, or even utilize sonic vibrations to create stable pathways. Imagine the sheer scale, caverns carved out over decades, not days. Historians still argue whether the technology for such large-scale subterranean construction existed in the mid-20th century. But perhaps, like so many other classified projects, the public was simply unaware of the true capabilities being developed behind closed doors. You feel the presence of massive hidden spaces now, not just a bunker, but a sprawling complex. Think of the intricate underground cities proposed in sci-fi novels, or the vast, secretive military installations buried beneath mountain ranges on Earth. Now transpose that scale, that ambition, to the moon. You begin to sense the sheer volume of material that must have been excavated, the tons of lunar dust and rock that had to be moved, processed, and then, crucially, disposed of without a trace. This isn't like digging a ditch in your backyard. The spoil heaps alone would be visible from Earth if not for meticulous planning. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit often overlooked. The strangely symmetrical, almost unnatural pits or holes observed in certain lunar photographs by amateur astronomers. Dismissed as geological curiosities or photographic anomalies, what if these were actually vents or exhaust ports? Or, more chillingly, entry-exit points for smaller, faster craft?
These aren't just random craters. They are the subtle, almost imperceptible exhaust fumes of a massive, ongoing construction project. Perhaps they even serve a purpose in regulating the internal atmosphere of these vast subterranean spaces. Light joke. Constructing a secret moon base out of literal moon rock is probably the ultimate build-your-own-furniture project. No instructions, just pure, unadulterated, classified engineering genius. The atmosphere inside these conceptual layers would be entirely different from the vacuum outside. Pressurized, temperature-controlled, perhaps even with a recycled Earth-like atmosphere. You can almost feel the recycled air, slightly metallic, distinct, a comforting counterpoint to the vacuum outside. The walls, you imagine, are reinforced with alloys we've never heard of, or perhaps with materials synthesized from lunar regolith itself, stronger than steel, more durable than concrete. This isn't merely a shelter, it's a self-contained ecosystem designed for long-term habitation, for sustained operation, entirely independent of Earth's immediate support. As you mentally trace the pathways, you sense vast workshops, living quarters, perhaps even hydroponic farms producing fresh food, sustaining the silent population within. The silence down here would be absolute, save for the hum of unseen machinery, the subtle shifts of the lunar crust, and the muffled sounds of life, far from the prying eyes of Earth. You realize that the lunar dust, once just a nuisance for the Apollo astronauts, is now being managed, possibly even utilized in ways we can barely comprehend. The notion of a hidden base carved from the very body of the moon transforms it from a distant romantic orb into a living, breathing, but deeply secretive entity. You're not just observing, you're almost feeling the pulse of this hidden world. And as you prepare to delve into the very heart of this subterranean complex, you understand that these aren't just empty tunnels. They are vibrant, functional spaces, teeming with the kind of technology and life that could redefine humanity's place in the cosmos, if only the rest of humanity knew about it.
The pulse of the lunar base now beats stronger as you finally enter the realm of the silent machines, secret souls. The hum you felt earlier becomes a more distinct, rhythmic thrum, the deep resonance that vibrates through the very lunar bedrock, a constant, soothing pulse in the profound silence, emanating from a self-sustaining ecosystem operating far beyond the reach of public scrutiny. A mainstream historical fact, the vacuum of space, with its lack of atmosphere, makes conventional cooling systems for electronics incredibly challenging, requiring radiators and complex heat dissipation methods. So, how do you power and cool an entire subterranean base for decades without a trace? You realize the machines here aren't merely advanced, they are revolutionary, pushing the boundaries of what was publicly known or even conceived during the era of their inception. You imagine the power source first, not solar panels on the surface, too visible, too vulnerable. Perhaps a compact fusion reactor, a technology that even now in 2025 remains largely experimental on Earth. Or something more exotic, tapping into the moon's own geological energies. Or perhaps even a direct conversion system for solar particles that are then channeled underground. Historians still argue about the feasibility of sustained off-world colonies without vast energy breakthroughs. Yet here, in this secret reality, those breakthroughs clearly occurred.
As you move deeper, the sheer automation becomes apparent. This isn't a bustling factory floor with hundreds of human workers. This is a symphony of robotics, of artificial intelligence, overseeing and maintaining the complex's myriad systems. Robotic arms glide along tracks, performing maintenance. Automated vehicles transport materials through subterranean tunnels. Their movements precise, silent, and entirely self-directed. The air recycling, water purification, temperature regulation, all handled by networks of machines so integrated, so efficient, they operate with a near-perfect autonomy. It's like a colossal living organism, its internal organs humming with electric life. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit. Have you ever heard the persistent whispers about anomalous seismic activity on the moon, detected by the seismometers left by Apollo missions? Dismissed as moonquakes caused by tidal forces or thermal expansion, what if some of these subtle tremors were actually the muffled sounds of heavy machinery? The thrum of colossal drills, the reverberations of subterranean construction, the constant, low-frequency hum of a massive power source. It's a plausible, if unsettling, alternative. It's akin to thinking your neighbor's house is just creaking in the wind, when in reality, they've secretly installed a massive indoor bowling alley. And then you encounter the secret souls. They are few, precisely because the machines are so numerous and capable. These aren't the masses of scientists and engineers you'd expect in a public research facility. These are the elite, the chosen few. Highly specialized personnel, perhaps cross-trained in multiple disciplines, living and working in conditions of absolute secrecy. Their numbers are kept minimal to reduce the risk of leaks, to simplify logistics, and to ensure maximum efficiency. They are the overseers, the problem solvers, the ones who make the critical decisions that even the most advanced AI can't yet manage. Their existence itself is the ultimate testament to the base's clandestine nature. You sense their discipline, their unwavering commitment to the mission. They live in relative isolation, their connection to Earth carefully controlled, filtered, perhaps even simulated in ways that protect their psychological well-being while maintaining operational security. You imagine their days filled with data analysis, system monitoring, and the occasional hushed conversation about the true purpose of their life's work. They are the human element in a machine-dominated world, the guardians of the deepest secret. As you observe these silent machines and secret souls, a profound realization settles upon you. This isn't just a research outpost. It's a self-sustaining world, a testament to technological prowess far beyond public comprehension, and a chilling indicator of humanity's capacity for sustained, immense secrecy. The smooth, seamless operation of this lunar base, hidden beneath tons of regolith, speaks volumes about the dedication of its architects and the unwavering purpose of its inhabitants. And as you prepare to glimpse what they are truly here for, the implications of this hidden lunar existence grow even more immense, leading you to ponder the very nature of life beyond Earth.
The hum of the silent machines and the subtle presence of their secret souls now guide you to the truly unexpected, the aspect that moves this clandestine base from mere human ingenuity into something far more profound and perhaps terrifying: the notion of lunar fauna, unseen flora.
You're contemplating the possibility of life on the moon, not just microbial, but something more complex, encountered and studied in secret. A mainstream historical fact: the moon is generally considered to be devoid of indigenous life due to its lack of atmosphere, liquid water on the surface, and extreme temperature fluctuations. This scientific consensus forms the very bedrock of what we believe about our celestial neighbor. But what if this consensus is based on incomplete data, or rather, data meticulously curated for public consumption? What if the hidden base exists not just on the moon, but because of something from the moon? A secret so profound it reshapes our understanding of life itself. You imagine the initial shock, the sheer scientific revolution that would have occurred if Apollo astronauts had encountered something truly anomalous, something organic yet utterly alien. The impulse to keep such a discovery secret would be overwhelming, driven by national security concerns, the fear of panic, or the desire to monopolize an unprecedented scientific windfall. Historians still argue about the potential societal impact of confirmed extraterrestrial life, often citing the War of the Worlds broadcast as an example of public reaction. But imagine a discovery of this magnitude, kept entirely under wraps for decades. As you consider the possibility, you conjure images of deep-dwelling, chemosynthetic organisms, thriving not on sunlight, but on geothermal vents or mineral reactions within the moon's crust, perhaps in pockets of trapped ice. Or perhaps a form of extremophile, a quirky or fringe tidbit that some astrobiologists have theorized could exist in the most inhospitable environments on Earth, but scaled up for a lunar context. Imagine organisms with silicon-based biologies, or those that metabolize exotic compounds, perfectly adapted to the lunar subsurface, their very existence a quiet, shimmering mystery. Not little green men, perhaps, but something just as alien and far more scientifically significant. Light joke. I bet the secret moon-base chefs are constantly trying to figure out how to make lunar dust taste like chicken. It's protein-enriched regolith crumbles, sir, best served with a side of space silence. You visualize secure biosafety labs within the subterranean complex, glowing faintly, where these alien life forms are studied. Perhaps there are containment units holding peculiar slow-growing fungi that absorb radiation, or bioluminescent bacteria that thrive in the dark. Maybe even strange crystalline flora that convert lunar minerals into forms of energy. The implications are staggering. New biologies, new chemistries, new potential applications for medicine, energy, or even terraforming. These are the kinds of discoveries that could fundamentally alter human civilization, making their secrecy all the more understandable, if morally questionable. And what about the fauna? This isn't about little furry creatures scurrying about. It's more subtle, more unsettling. Perhaps it's a form of non-carbon-based life, or organisms that exist on a microscopic level, yet exhibit complex behaviors. Or, more chillingly, what if the base isn't just studying lunar life, but interacting with it in some way? Not communicating in words, but understanding its properties, its potential, its limitations. The silent souls, the human element in the base, would be the primary observers, the ones tasked with this unprecedented scientific endeavor. The air around you seems to hum, not just with technology, but with the faint, almost imperceptible echo of alien biology, a soft, ethereal vibration. You realize that the discovery of life, even rudimentary, on the moon would fundamentally change our cosmic perspective, pulling us from our solitary perch into a universe teeming with unexpected diversity. Keeping such a monumental truth hidden suggests not just a desire for control over knowledge, but perhaps also a profound fear of its implications. The secret lunar base, therefore, becomes not just a technological marvel, but a clandestine biological observatory, holding secrets that could redefine life itself. And as you prepare to delve into the ancient whispers that might have hinted at this very possibility, the moon feels less like a sterile rock and more like a vast, living, silent archive.
The hum of the silent machines and the faint echo of potential lunar life now intertwine with something even deeper, something that resonates with the very core of human storytelling, echoes from the ancient moon. You're moving beyond the purely scientific and into the realm of myth, legend, and forgotten lore, considering how humanity's oldest tales might actually contain veiled truths about our celestial neighbor. A mainstream historical fact is that cultures across the globe have woven intricate myths and deities around the moon, from the Greek goddess Selene to the Egyptian god Khonsu. These ancient peoples observed the moon's phases, its influence on tides and harvests, and incorporated it into their cosmologies. But what if some of these seemingly fantastical narratives weren't entirely metaphors, but distant, distorted memories, or even coded messages about an ancient, perhaps non-terrestrial presence, whispered across millennia? You begin to recall the quirky or fringe tidbits often dismissed by mainstream archaeology and history. The moon is a hollow sphere theories, for instance, based on unusual seismic data from Apollo-era experiments. Or the persistent legends of ancient astronauts visiting Earth, with some narratives hinting at their origins from or through the moon. These ideas, once relegated to late-night talk shows and speculative books, begin to take on a new, unsettling weight when viewed through the lens of a secret lunar base. What if the hollow moon is less about natural geological formation and more about vast, excavated spaces shimmering with the ghosts of forgotten activity? Historians still argue whether ancient myths are purely symbolic or contain kernels of historical events. But as you hover above the moon, picturing the deep subterranean complexes, you wonder if certain lunar myths, particularly those involving lights in the sky or chariots descending from the moon, were primitive attempts to explain observations that defied their understanding. Perhaps not advanced spacecraft as we imagine them today, but something equally inexplicable to ancient eyes. It's like a caveman trying to describe a jet plane. He might call it a thunderous bird of metal. Light joke, maybe the man in the moon isn't just a face. He's the base's chief security officer, staring disapprovingly at all the human mischief below. His scowl is just a permanent lunar feature, a cosmic keep out sign. You imagine the silent souls within the base, poring over ancient texts, not for spiritual guidance, but for clues. Were there specific geographical markers mentioned in obscure texts that align with anomalous lunar features? Did certain cultures possess advanced astronomical knowledge that hinted at more than just planetary movements? You visualize them cross-referencing folklore, searching for patterns, for any confirmation of a pre-existing presence, or perhaps simply for natural lunar phenomena that could be exploited. Consider the moon's face, the familiar dark maria that form distinct patterns. Ancient cultures saw figures, animals, or symbols in these.
But what if, in very specific regions, the shadows they observed were not just natural features, but subtle indications of monumental engineered structures? Structures so vast they could be mistaken for natural topography from Earth, or perhaps, for the eyes of early stargazers, simply another aspect of the moon's mysterious visage, hinting at something far more profound. The air around you, usually still, seems to carry the faint echoes of distant, forgotten voices, whispering tales of a moon that was more than just a satellite. A moon that was perhaps a way station, a repository of ancient knowledge, or even a place of refuge. The very act of the secret base existing suggests a profound understanding of the moon, an understanding that perhaps began not with modern science, but with clues inadvertently left behind by earlier civilizations, or even earlier visitors. This realization sends a shiver through you. If the secret base is connected to ancient lunar lore, it implies a continuity of hidden knowledge stretching back millennia. It suggests that the architects of the unseen were not just pioneers, but rediscoverers, building upon foundations laid long ago, perhaps even by non-human hands. The moon, our ancient companion, suddenly feels alive with untold stories, its surface a palimpsest of both natural history and clandestine endeavors. And as you prepare to understand the lengths to which this secret has been guarded, the gravity of its implications only deepens, pushing you towards the very heart of the cover-up itself.
The intricate tapestry of the cover-up, meticulously woven over decades, inevitably experiences frayed edges. You now turn your attention to these imperfections, to the individuals who, against immense odds, tried to tear a hole in that veil of secrecy, the cover-up's careful weave. Keeping a secret of this magnitude, a fully operational moon base, possibly with hidden life, isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing, meticulously orchestrated campaign of misdirection, suppression, and outright deception. A mainstream historical fact: governments worldwide engage in various levels of classified operations and intelligence gathering, often requiring tight secrecy. But this isn't just about protecting troop movements or spy identities. This is about concealing an entire off-world civilization, a truth so vast it would reshape global understanding. You realize the architects of the unseen didn't just build a base. They built an impenetrable wall of silence around it, a barrier of carefully constructed narratives. You start to perceive the intricate layers of the cover-up. It began with the initial misdirection of the Apollo program, framing it as a finite exploration rather than a preliminary survey. Then came the steady drip feed of carefully curated information, emphasizing the moon's desolate, lifeless nature, reinforcing the public perception that there was nothing more to see. Think of it like a magician's trick. You're focused on the flashy gesture with one hand, completely missing the crucial action happening subtly with the other. Historians still argue about the true extent of government information control during the Cold War, often focusing on propaganda and censorship. But the moon base cover-up takes this to an entirely new level. It required not just suppressing information, but actively manufacturing a false reality. Any anomalous data, any blurred photo, any unexpected transmission, all carefully explained away, debunked, or simply buried under mountains of bureaucratic red tape and plausible deniability. You imagine entire departments dedicated solely to this task, a vast network of
gatekeepers, fact-checkers, or rather fiction-checkers, and public relations experts, all working in concert, their efforts as seamless as the moon's orbital path. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit: the recurring theme in science fiction of governments controlling alien technology or contact. While fictional, it taps into a very real human fear and curiosity. What if the very tropes we enjoy in entertainment are subtle ways to prepare us, or perhaps to mock us, for the truth that's hiding in plain sight? Think of all the fake moon landing theories. While often easily dismissed, what if those theories, inadvertently or by design, served to muddy the waters, making the real secret, a different kind of moon presence, even harder to discern? Oh, you rascal NASA. I bet the first rule of Lunar Fight Club is, you do not talk about Lunar Fight Club, and if you do, we'll tell everyone you thought the moon was made of cheese. That'll shut 'em up. The methods of suppression would have been varied and highly effective. Discrediting witnesses through smear campaigns, ensuring key personnel had ironclad non-disclosure agreements, and controlling access to sensitive data at every level. Any satellite anomalies or amateur telescope sightings would be quickly attributed to natural phenomena, atmospheric interference, or faulty equipment. The scientific community, generally focused on terrestrial research or publicly funded space missions, would be kept in the dark, their research steered away from anything that might stumble upon the truth. You sense the immense psychological burden on those involved in maintaining this secret. The constant vigilance, the weight of knowing something so profoundly significant, yet having to live a perfectly normal life, never hinting at the truth. The fear of an accidental leak, a deathbed confession, or a disgruntled insider. Every single piece of information, every press release, every astronaut interview had to be carefully vetted, every word a part of the careful weave. The cover-up wasn't just about hiding a structure, it was about hiding a capability, a new frontier of human expansion, and potentially a groundbreaking encounter with non-terrestrial life. The implications of revealing such a secret would be seismic, politically, economically, and perhaps even spiritually. The careful weave, therefore, became a necessary evil, a protective shell around a truth deemed too disruptive for public consumption. And as you prepare to glimpse the consequences of this intricate silence, the stories of those who tried to break it begin to emerge from the cosmic shadows, their voices fading, but their messages still resonating.
The intricate tapestry of the cover-up, meticulously woven over decades, inevitably experiences frayed edges, allowing you to now turn your attention to these imperfections, to the individuals who, against immense odds, tried to tear a hole in that veil of secrecy, the whistleblowers' fading calls. These aren't the loud, attention-seeking voices you might find on social media. These are the quieter, often desperate cries of individuals whose lives were irrevocably altered by what they knew. A mainstream historical fact. The act of whistleblowing, though sometimes lauded in hindsight, often carries severe personal and professional consequences for the individual, ranging from job loss to social ostracization, and in extreme cases, even more dire outcomes. This is amplified tenfold when the secret involves national security and projects of cosmic scale. You feel a profound sense of empathy for these individuals, their courage immense, their burdens almost unbearable, echoing in the vast silence.
You recall the whispers you've heard over the years, the quirky or fringe tidbits that never quite gained traction in the mainstream. The accounts of former technicians and engineers, often anonymous, who spoke of inconsistencies in official data logs, of unexpected equipment failures that seemed to cover up something else, or of unusual personnel transfers from seemingly unrelated projects to lunar-related ones. Some spoke of seeing photographic evidence that was quickly confiscated, or of being forced to sign layers of non-disclosure agreements that went far beyond typical security protocols. It's like a quiet hum in the background of a radio broadcast that you can barely discern, but once you focus on it, you realize it's a distinct, unsettling melody, a hidden frequency breaking through the static. Historians still argue whether the consistent pattern of unexplained deaths or disappearances around high-level classified projects is mere coincidence or evidence of more sinister forces at play. For the whistleblowers of the lunar base, the stakes were unimaginably high. Their testimonies, often fragmented and delivered years after the fact, speak of a psychological toll that comes from holding a truth so immense, so world-shattering, that sharing it could mean losing everything. You visualize them, haunted by their knowledge, struggling with the moral imperative to reveal the truth versus the immense pressure to remain silent. Light joke, I bet the Moonbase whistleblower support group meetings are really awkward. Hi, my name's Dave, and I know they're growing glow-in-the-dark moon cabbages. And no, I'm not crazy. Or am I? You consider the tactics used to silence these voices. Not always brute force, but often a far more insidious psychological warfare. Discrediting them publicly, labeling them as unstable, fantasists, or opportunists, isolating them from their professional networks, ensuring they could never again work in their field. The careful manipulation of public perception, turning legitimate concerns into fodder for ridicule, thereby inoculating the public against the truth. It's a masterful strategy, turning potential exposés into self-fulfilling prophecies of dismissal. You sense the sheer loneliness of these individuals. They were up against an entire system, a carefully constructed facade designed to withstand any assault. Their calls, though brave, often faded into the background noise of mainstream media, drowned out by official statements and the sheer incredulity of the public. Yet in their fragmented accounts, in the inconsistencies they highlighted, and in the sheer desperation of their warnings, you find the faint outlines of the truth. These fading calls, like distant signals from a dying star, still carry a powerful message, if you're willing to listen, a quiet beacon in the vast darkness. Their sacrifices, whether personal or professional, were not in vain. They laid the groundwork, brick by painful brick, for the understanding you are now gaining. They planted seeds of doubt in the fertile ground of public consciousness, even if those seeds took decades to germinate. The echoes of their warnings, faint though they may be, resonate in the silence of space, guiding you toward a profound reevaluation of humanity's true footprint among the stars. The implications of this hidden lunar expansion, therefore, are not just theoretical. They are built on the broken dreams and silenced voices of those who dared to speak.
The fading calls of whistleblowers resonate in the cosmic void, guiding you from the mechanisms of suppression to the profound implications of what has been suppressed. You're now contemplating beyond the veil of gravity, considering the true meaning of humanity's hidden lunar expansion. This isn't just about a secret base, it's about a fundamental shift in our species' trajectory, one that has unfolded in the shadows, entirely unbeknownst to the vast majority of us. A mainstream historical fact, space exploration has always been framed as humanity's collective endeavor, pushing the boundaries of knowledge for all. The iconic images of Earth from space, the pale blue dot, foster a sense of shared humanity. But what if this shared vision was, in part, a carefully constructed illusion, masking a fractured reality where a select few have already transcended our planetary boundaries in ways we can barely imagine, their very existence a silent challenge to our assumptions? You realize that this secret base signifies more than just a technological achievement. It's the establishment of an off-world beachhead, a permanent, self-sustaining presence beyond Earth's gravitational embrace. This isn't mere exploration, it's colonization. A small, elite faction of humanity has already achieved what the rest of us only dream of, making them, in a very real sense, the true inheritors of the cosmos. Historians still argue whether the colonization of new territories on Earth was driven by exploration or exploitation, but here the lines blur, especially when the territory is extraterrestrial. You imagine the subtle shifts in power dynamics on Earth, influenced by this hidden lunar presence. The architects of the unseen, with their access to off-world resources and strategic vantage points, would possess an unprecedented advantage. It's like a perpetual game of cosmic chess, and the general public isn't even aware the board exists, isn't even a player. The very concept of global power takes on an entirely new dimension when one entity secretly controls a foothold on another celestial body. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit. The recurring theme in some sci-fi narratives about a shadow government or secret space program operating independently of public oversight. While often dismissed as fantasy, these stories, perhaps unwittingly, tap into a deep-seated human anxiety about unseen control. What if these narratives serve as a form of predictive programming, desensitizing us to a truth that, when eventually revealed, might seem less shocking because we've already seen it in our entertainment? It's a subtle, almost insidious way to manage expectations, a cosmic sleight of hand. Light joke, maybe the real reason for the secret moon base is that they just wanted a place where they could finally sing karaoke at full volume without disturbing the neighbors. Total lunar eclipse of the heart, anyone? Nobody can hear you scream or sing off-key in space. The implications for our understanding of human potential are staggering. If sustained off-world living is already a reality, what else have they achieved in secret? Breakthroughs in physics, material science, perhaps even a deeper understanding of the universe's fundamental laws, all hidden from common knowledge. The veil of gravity isn't just a physical barrier, it's a conceptual one, separating a humanity limited to one planet from a humanity that has already begun its multi-world existence. This hidden expansion means that our species is already bifurcated, operating on two entirely different scales of existence. You feel a sense of profound unease mixed with a strange kind of awe. The secret lunar base isn't just a location, it's a declaration, a silent, powerful statement about a future already being built, a future where humanity's destiny is not solely tied to Earth. And as you brace yourself to explore the very tangible reasons why this expansion was undertaken, the resources being secretly harvested, the true weight of this clandestine cosmic ambition begins to settle upon you. The moon, far from being a distant, inert rock, is a springboard, a silent witness to a revolution we were never meant to see, its surface hiding wealth beyond measure. The clandestine harvesting of lunar resources isn't just about accumulation, it's about fueling a much grander, long-term vision. You're now witnessing the relentless, quiet progression of resources ripe for plunder. This isn't a static outpost. It's a dynamic, expanding settlement, a self-perpetuating entity burgeoning beneath the moon's desolate surface, far beyond the reach of Earth's telescopes or curious minds. This isn't just about prestige or military advantage. It's about tangible, invaluable materials that could fuel industries, revolutionize energy, or even facilitate further cosmic ventures. A mainstream historical fact, the Moon is known to contain significant reserves of helium-3, an isotope considered a potential fuel for clean nuclear fusion power on Earth. However, the official narrative often downplays its economic viability due to the immense challenges of extraction and transport. But what if, within the context of a secret, highly advanced lunar base, these challenges have long since been overcome, quietly and efficiently? You begin to picture not just scientific curiosity, but industrial-scale mining operations unfolding in the Moon's quiet depths, a silent, vast enterprise. You envision vast, automated mining vehicles, perhaps utilizing sonic drills or laser ablation technologies, silently excavating lunar regolith. These aren't the clunky, earthbound machines you see in documentaries. They are streamlined, self-repairing, and designed for maximum efficiency in a vacuum. The lunar dust, which was once an impediment, is now seen as a rich, untapped resource. Historians still argue whether the pursuit of new resources has been the primary driver of human exploration throughout history, from the spice routes to the scramble for oil. But here, on the Moon, that historical pattern seems to be repeating itself on an interstellar scale, cloaked in profound secrecy. Consider the quirky or fringe tidbit of certain lunar meteorites found on Earth containing trace elements or isotopic ratios that don't perfectly match known lunar samples, leading some to speculate about unusual geological formations, or even, wildly, about non-lunar origins for some moon rocks. What if these anomalies were subtle clues to unique resource deposits, perhaps even concentrations of elements not typically found on the surface, but accessible through deep drilling operations from the hidden base? It's like finding a rare gemstone in a pile of ordinary pebbles. You know there's a richer vein nearby, a treasure waiting to be unearthed. Like joke, I bet the moon base mining crew has a secret handshake, but it's actually just them knocking rocks together because they forgot what human contact felt like. Good for hand-eye coordination though, and very low impact. Beyond helium-3, you consider other potential treasures. Rare earth elements, crucial for advanced electronics and green technologies, might exist in higher concentrations or in more accessible forms on the Moon. Perhaps even a novel form of lunar ice, not just for water, but containing unique chemical compounds that could be invaluable for future propulsion systems or advanced materials. The silent machines you observed earlier would be meticulously processing these resources, refining them, and preparing them for transport with an eerie, efficient grace. And how is this wealth transported back to Earth without detection? You imagine small, stealthy cargo craft, perhaps utilizing advanced propulsion systems, making infrequent, carefully timed trips. These wouldn't be the fiery rocket launches you see from Cape Canaveral. They would be near silent, perhaps even cloaked, slipping through Earth's atmosphere disguised as meteor showers or cleverly camouflaged against orbital debris. The cover-up's careful weave extends even to this, ensuring that the fruits of lunar plunder remain as secret as the base itself, an invisible lifeline to a hidden empire.
The implications are profound. If a select group has exclusive access to such immense wealth and strategic resources, it creates an unassailable economic and technological advantage. This isn't just about power, it's about control over future development, over the very direction of human civilization. The moon, once a symbol of aspiration, transforms into a rich resource colony, secretly feeding an insatiable demand on Earth. And as you grasp the full extent of this silent harvesting, you begin to see how this constant influx of lunar materials fuels something even larger, the relentless, quiet progression of a colony's silent growth, a hidden world blossoming in the cosmic dark.
The clandestine harvesting of lunar resources isn't just about accumulation, it's about fueling a much grander, long-term vision. You're now witnessing the relentless, quiet progression of a colony's silent growth. This isn't a static outpost, it's a dynamic, expanding settlement, a self-perpetuating entity burgeoning beneath the moon's desolate surface, far beyond the reach of Earth's telescopes or curious minds, steadily weaving itself into the very fabric of the moon. A mainstream historical fact, the concept of a self-sustaining off-world colony has been a staple of science fiction and serious scientific ambition for decades, presenting monumental challenges in terms of life support, resource recycling, and psychological well-being. But here, in this secret reality, those theoretical challenges have been met and overcome, not by a global collaborative effort, but by a hidden consortium. You begin to understand that the scale of this project goes far beyond a temporary base. It's designed for permanence, for generations, a silent testament to a hidden future. You visualize the slow but steady expansion, not sudden explosive growth, but incremental, methodical additions. New tunnels bored, connecting existing modules. Larger, more sophisticated living quarters, perhaps even communal spaces designed to mitigate the psychological effects of long-term isolation. Hydroponic farms expanding, generating more food, reducing reliance on Earth-based resupply missions. The silent machines are not just maintaining, they're building, fabricating new components from lunar materials, utilizing sophisticated 3D printing and automated construction techniques. Their hum, a constant lullaby of progress. Historians still argue whether historical colonial expansions were driven purely by economic gain or also by the ambition to propagate a particular way of life. On the moon, it seems to be a cold, calculated blend of both. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit. The occasional unconfirmed reports from amateur radio enthusiasts of strange, highly unusual radio signals originating from the moon. Dismissed as atmospheric interference or satellite anomalies, what if these were subtle communications between expanding sections of the base, or data bursts related to construction progress? Or perhaps even the quiet hum of an automated lunar fabrication plant transmitting its daily progress reports. It's the kind of subtle anomaly that, once you start connecting the dots, suddenly makes a lot more sense. A hidden conversation in the cosmic static. Light joke. I bet they have a lunar HOA now. Excuse me, your subterranean dwelling unit is violating Section 3B of the Maintaining Aesthetic Lunar Subterranean Harmony Covenant. Your solar-powered gnome collection is too visible, especially from Earth. The silent growth isn't just physical, it's also demographic. While the initial secret souls were likely a small, highly trained cadre, a long-term colony requires succession.
You wonder about the ethical implications of such a secluded community. Are new personnel brought in from Earth carefully vetted and indoctrinated? Or, more chillingly, are individuals born within the base, raised in total isolation from Earth's general population, their entire lives defined by the secret mission? Imagine growing up knowing the moon is your home, but the rest of humanity believes it's an uninhabited rock. You sense the gradual development of a unique lunar culture adapted to the confines of their subterranean world. Their understanding of history, of humanity, would be shaped by the parameters of the secret. Their loyalty would be to the mission, to the hidden consortium that built their world. This isn't just a place of work, it's a home, meticulously crafted, silently thriving, a world apart. The sheer audacity of this silent growth is breathtaking. It demonstrates a level of commitment and long-term planning that transcends conventional geopolitical cycles. It's a vision spanning not just years, but decades, perhaps even centuries. The moon, once perceived as a barren, distant object, is silently becoming a second home for a select few, a hidden bastion of human expansion. And as you grasp the full scope of this burgeoning off-world settlement, your attention naturally shifts to the purpose of its inhabitants, the dedicated Lunar Guardians watch, who ensure its continued secrecy and prosperity.
With the silent growth of the lunar colony steadily unfolding, your attention is now drawn to the purpose of its human inhabitants, the specialized personnel who embody the very essence of its existence, the Lunar Guardians Watch. These aren't just scientists or engineers. They are the dedicated, often isolated individuals tasked with maintaining the base's operational integrity and, crucially, its absolute secrecy. Their vigilance a palpable hum in the lunar quiet. A mainstream historical fact, any long-term isolated environment, be it a polar research station or a submarine, requires rigorous psychological screening and support for its personnel. On the moon, in absolute secrecy, this factor becomes paramount. You realize that the secret souls you sensed earlier are meticulously chosen, not just for their technical prowess, but for their mental fortitude and unwavering loyalty, their very presence a shield against discovery. You imagine their daily routines, a life dictated by precision and vigilance, monitoring the silent machines, managing the intricate life support systems, processing the harvested resources, and constantly, relentlessly guarding the secret. Their watch extends beyond mere equipment checks. It involves an acute awareness of any potential anomaly, any hint of detection from Earth, any internal discord that might jeopardize the mission. Historians still argue about the effectiveness of psychological conditioning in maintaining group cohesion in extreme environments. But here, isolated by millions of miles, it's a matter of survival for the secret itself, a silent, continuous battle against exposure. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit. The consistent reports from various sources over many decades of unidentified aerial phenomena, UAPs, or unidentified submersible phenomena, USOs, exhibiting capabilities far beyond known human technology. While often attributed to terrestrial military developments or misidentification, what if a subset of these sightings, particularly those exhibiting impossible speeds or sudden disappearances, were actually the stealth craft connected to the lunar base, making their secretive deliveries or reconnaissance runs? It's a speculative leap, but one that begins to fit into the broader narrative of an unseen, highly advanced human presence, cloaked by the very strangeness of its movements. Like joke, I bet the Lunar Guardians have a secret club motto, like, "What happens on the moon stays on the moon," unless it's a really embarrassing zero-G dance-off. That footage always leaks, no matter what.
The activities of these guardians are multifaceted. Beyond the operational tasks, they are likely involved in advanced research, pushing the boundaries of lunar resource utilization, developing new propulsion systems, and perhaps even engaging in astronomical observations free from Earth's atmospheric interference. Their unique vantage point offers unparalleled opportunities for scientific discovery, but all under the shroud of absolute classification. Their breakthroughs hidden gems in the cosmic dark. But their most critical duty is security, not just against external threats, but against internal leaks. You sense the stringent protocols, the advanced surveillance systems, and the psychological evaluations designed to detect any crack in their resolve. Their loyalty isn't just to a country or an agency, it's to the very concept of the hidden future they are building. They are the human embodiment of the cover-up's careful weave, the final line of defense against public discovery, their watch unyielding. The purpose of their watch is clear: to ensure the continued undisturbed growth of the colony and the uninterrupted flow of its valuable resources. They are the gatekeepers of humanity's true expansion, the silent sentinels of a new era. The very existence of these Lunar Guardians speaks volumes about the value of what they protect, the precious secret that shapes their every waking moment. And as you grasp the full weight of their silent vigil, your mind inevitably shifts to the monumental impact this decades-long secret will have, shaping the very future's footprint on the moon, a destiny carved in shadows.
With the Lunar Guardians maintaining their silent watch, you now project forward, imagining the profound, enduring consequences of this hidden endeavor on the very fabric of our shared future. You're contemplating future's footprint on the moon, a mark indelibly etched by secrets kept and ambitions pursued far beyond public view. This isn't just about what is happening, but what will happen because of it. A quiet revolution reshaping humanity's destiny. A mainstream historical fact, humanity has always sought to expand, from ancient migrations across continents to the age of exploration, driven by curiosity, necessity, or the pursuit of resources. The moon base, however, represents an expansion of a different kind, a clandestine one, setting a precedent for future off-world ventures that are not collaborative but exclusive. You realize that the very nature of space exploration, as we publicly understand it, has been fundamentally altered by this hidden truth, making our common understanding a mere shadow of reality. You envision a future where this secret lunar colony flourishes, becoming a powerful, self-sustaining hub. It could become a staging ground for further deep space missions, utilizing lunar resources to construct spacecraft free from Earth's heavy gravity and atmospheric drag. Imagine fleets of silent, lunar-built vessels venturing to Mars, to the asteroid belt, or even beyond, while Earth remains largely unaware of this extraterrestrial blossoming. Historians still argue whether technological advancement inevitably leads to greater transparency or greater secrecy. On the moon, the latter has certainly held sway, creating a future built on hidden foundations. Consider the quirky or fringe tidbit of certain unusual orbital trajectories detected by independent observatories, often dismissed as sensor glitches or minor satellite misidentifications. What if these were the subtle, almost imperceptible movements of lunar-launched craft, their trajectories optimized to avoid detection from terrestrial tracking networks, ghost ships navigating the cosmic sea? It's like a phantom limb. You can't quite see it, but you feel its presence, a subtle disturbance in the cosmic equilibrium, hinting at a bustling, unseen space traffic. Light joke,
I bet in the future, the moon base residents will start developing their own unique accent, slightly muffled perhaps from all the recycled air. "Aye, Brenda, fancy a spot of early grey by the hydroponics bay, eh?" The implications for Earth are staggering. If this hidden lunar empire continues to grow, it could lead to an unprecedented technological and economic disparity. The consortium behind the base would possess not just advanced technology, but also control over invaluable resources, shaping global markets and geopolitical power dynamics from a vantage point no terrestrial power could ever match. This isn't merely about an advantage, it's about a potential redefinition of global influence, with true power residing literally off-world, a silent, all-encompassing control. You also consider the ethical footprint. A permanent clandestine colony raises profound questions about governance, human rights, and the very definition of a citizen. Are those born on the moon considered citizens of Earth nations, or do they owe allegiance solely to the hidden consortium? What are their rights, their responsibilities, in a world built on such profound secrecy? The secrecy creates a legal and moral vacuum, allowing for unprecedented levels of control and perhaps experimentation, far from any public oversight, a chilling thought in the quiet dark. The future's footprint on the moon, therefore, is not just of scientific progress. It's one of profound societal division and concealed destiny. It's a testament to humanity's drive for expansion, but also to its capacity for immense secrecy and control, a stark reflection in the lunar dust. The silent hum of the base beneath the lunar surface isn't just a sound. It's the thrum of a future already in motion, a future that has been carefully sculpted for a select few, unseen and unheard by the masses. And as you prepare for the final moments of this journey, the unsettling realization of what this secret truly means for our collective human awakening begins to settle upon you. The moon, once a symbol of dreams, has become a silent, towering monument to a truth we were never meant to discover.
The future's footprint has been laid on the moon, unseen by most, shaping a destiny we're only now beginning to comprehend. Your journey culminates with the profound, unsettling moment of awakening to lunar dawn, a dawning realization of what this decades-long secret truly means for Earth and for humanity. It's not just a story of a hidden base, it's a redefinition of our place in the cosmos, a quiet revolution that has already occurred, reshaping the very fabric of our shared reality. A mainstream historical fact. The post-World War II era saw unprecedented advancements in technology and a significant increase in international cooperation, leading to institutions like the United Nations and numerous scientific collaborations. Yet parallel to this, the Lunar Base Project demonstrates a capacity for extreme, long-term, and successful compartmentalization, undermining the very notion of a fully transparent global community. You feel the weight of this dichotomy, the public face of unity masking a hidden agenda of exclusivity, a silent power operating just beyond our grasp. You now see the moon not just as our celestial neighbor, but as a silent, powerful monument to human ambition and secrecy. It stands as a testament to the fact that some of humanity has already become an off-world species, operating with advanced technologies and resources unknown to the majority. This awakening isn't a sudden, dramatic reveal. It's a slow, creeping understanding that settles deep in your bones. It's like realizing that your quiet, unassuming neighbor actually owns a private island, a fleet of super yachts, and has secretly been running a global tech empire for years. And you just thought they had a really nice garden. Historians still argue whether the pursuit of power inevitably corrupts, but the sheer scale of the lunar secret suggests a level of control and manipulation that redefines the very concept. The ethical lines are blurred. The justification for such secrecy, while perhaps initially rooted in concerns of panic or exploitation, morphs into a self-perpetuating system of control. The very narrative of human progress, publicly celebrated, becomes a carefully crafted illusion, a comforting lie woven into the fabric of our lives. Here's a quirky or fringe tidbit that, in light of your journey, now feels chillingly plausible. The idea that major global events, seemingly disparate crises or technological shifts, might be subtly influenced or even orchestrated by entities with an off-world advantage. While extreme, the existence of a hidden lunar base, with its access to advanced technology and unique resources, could indeed wield an unseen hand in shaping Earth's trajectory, subtly guiding human civilization towards outcomes beneficial to its clandestine operations. It's the ultimate puppet master scenario, only the strings are attached from 240,000 miles away, gently tugging at the threads of our destiny. Light joke. Maybe the real reason you can't get good cell service in some remote areas on Earth is that the moon base is secretly hoarding all the 5G bandwidth for their interlunar net. Those cat videos aren't going to stream themselves, you know. Priorities, people. The awakening to lunar dawn brings with it a sense of profound responsibility. What do you do with this knowledge? How do you reconcile the public narrative with the hidden reality? The implications ripple outwards, for science, for politics, for society, for our collective understanding of progress and ethics. The silence that surrounds the moon is no longer just the vacuum of space. It's the deafening silence of a truth too immense to be openly acknowledged, a truth that now resonates within you. You sense the enduring legacy of this secret, a parallel pathway for humanity forged in the shadows that has fundamentally diverged from the one we publicly perceive. The moon is not just a destination, it's a living, breathing testament to a hidden chapter of human history. A secret kept so thoroughly that its very existence reshapes everything, from our past to our deepest future. Now, as the faint hum of the silent machines begins to recede, and the cool, soft glow of lunar dawn washes over you, allow the vastness of this secret to gently settle into your mind. Feel the silence of space, not as an emptiness, but a vast, comforting blanket. The moon, our ancient companion, continues its silent vigil, holding its secrets close. Secrets that now, in the quiet of this night, have gently, irrevocably become a part of your own understanding. Drift into the deep, dark calm of the cosmos, letting the immense weight of this reality slowly, softly lull you into a peaceful slumber. The universe is full of wonders, both seen and unseen, and tonight you've glimpsed one of its deepest, most profound mysteries. Sweet dreams, cosmic traveler.